My name is Verena Graupmann. I'm an associate professor at the psychology department at the College of Science and Health. And I teach classes in social and cultural psychology, and I also teach in the first year program. I teach Discover and Explore, a class on the psychology of Chicago's parks. In psychology, I study the psychology of the self and I study the psychology of culture. And one thing that I know from my own research is that it's really important to connect things to who you are and to connect the learned materials. And I think by letting people choose how they're going to explore the content that we're learning in the class and making that their own is literally making it their own when it takes the form of a project that's pretty involved in kind of like finding a self-guided exploration in a cultural context, or finding a social psychological phenomenon and exploring it or observing it in the real world somewhere with something like an observation situation that the students design and plan themselves. Something novel that comes to mind that I started using in my Explore and Discover classes is I go to the Idea Realization Lab towards the end of the quarter, and we talk about the psychology of parks and what makes a good park and what people who plan parks have to think about and how that relates to community needs and individual needs. And then students, after having seen a lot of different parks, after having learned all of this, they get together in groups and build a model of their ideal park and incorporating all of these principles. So using these resources definitely has been something that is new to me and that I've enjoyed doing recently. One thing that I've noticed is elevating student contributions in online classes, but also in in-person classes, has been something that I feel like I've continuously increased. I have students write a lot. I don't have formal exams, but there's a lot of writing discussion posts because I want students to develop their voice on the issues that we talk about in cultural psychology and social psychology and get them familiar with the language and also just expressing their views. So using what people have written and then bringing it back to the classroom. So people write a discussion post and then I kind of curate them and they know, so they're not surprised. And then I will read little bits and pieces and ask them to elaborate, and then also ask the other students to comment. And it's not to show anything that's wrong. It's more to say this was a really great point, and I would like to hear a little bit more about this, or do you have any additional thoughts? And then having other people comment. And just there, I think for the student learning, when you hear your own words and your own connections elevated like this, the learning happens on a different level, but it also allows others to learn from that. And so this has been something I really enjoy. But I would say it's intentional, but part of it was also just trying to find a new way to integrate the content that is very spans so many different areas, bringing it together in one project, and then you see how it works, and it always works. It's amazing when you get students to do something tangible in groups, and especially in psychology, they don't do that very much. So seeing what that does to the learning and also to the group dynamic and to the community, it has become more intentional for me, seeing the results of it. I learn from every class that I teach and from every group of students by having this continuous dialogue.